This is 44 Pistol from R.L. Burnside. Now, R.L. Burnside is one of the biggest names in hill country blues. One of the things that makes hill country blues unique from other styles of blues or even any other styles of playing is the percussive style strumming. So there's a bunch of different ways that they do that, and R.L. Burnside is one of the very best at doing this technique. And for those of you that don't know R.L. Burnside or don't know this song, let's watch it together, and then afterwards I'll teach you the parts and teach you how to do it. All right, let's check this out. He's plugged in, so he's got kind of that quacky tone a little bit. There's the A7 part. Main phrase. A7 phrase. B7 phrase, A7 phrase, and then now the main phrase again. These are the main parts. We'll come back to this in a moment. But I want to teach you these parts now. Now in total for this song, you're going to need to learn 4 parts to play the whole thing. We have the main phrase, which we'll go over first. And it also has the main phrase also has a variation. You could play either one. Second, there's a phrase over an A7 chord. There's also a phrase over the B7 chord. Now, this isn't a standard 12-bar blues. This is more of a call response type. So he does the call by singing the phrase, "Where my 44 so long?" And when he sings that phrase, then he responds with either the A phrase, which sounds like this, or the second phrase, he'll respond with the main phrase. Notice it has a lot of that percussive style strumming that's used so much in this hill country blues. If you took all the percussive stuff away, it'd sound like this. It's not at all the same, right? So this is how you get those percussive sounds. One, it's right hand muted. So the right hand will come down right after you play. It'll mute those notes like immediately after. Okay? Then we also have this back and forth. So it's up with the index finger, down with the thumb. Now I'm playing with a thumb pick to get the right tone. He has a really thick callus on his thumb that gives it a really bright tone. He also plugs his acoustic guitar into an amp, which also has this kind of quacky type sound to it, which sounds pretty cool. Back to the phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So that whole phrase we go 1, 2, mute real fast, then we do this slide down thing. And notice this string here, we want to mute that. So it has just a little bit of extra click. Okay, and then sliding this down really fast. Okay, then we start that back and forth. So notice when we do that, 0-3, 0-2, that's on the B string. Then we go 0-2, 0-2. Every time you're doing it down, you want to mute the string above it, like the string that's fatter, with the finger that's playing over here. So hear how there's always a click before that, so it makes it more percussive. Full speed like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. He also plays this variation occasionally. In some performances, he'll play both of these variations. In some performances, he seems to play one or the other. So it's up to you which one you like. I think it's best to actually learn both and then probably play both of them when you perform it. But here's the other phrase. It sounds almost the same, it's just the ending that's different. Can you hear the difference? The beginning starts the same, and then all this is the same. But then we do this. So instead of going, it does this. So with all the strumming, putting it all together. After the main phrase, he goes into the A7 chord part, and that sounds like this. The last measure of this phrase goes into 6/4, which means there's 6 beats there. Now, at the beginning of the phrase, coming from the main phrase like this, I'll play it really slow, and I'll show you where he sings the part. So from the main phrase, well, I wear my 44 so long. Makes my shoulders sore. So notice on that end part where he's saying makes my shoulders sore, he hits 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, back to the main phrase. And that's where he's saying, makes my shoulders sore. Okay, so when he starts the phrase, he always does. Make sure to mute those A's like this. Keep those nice and muted like that. And then after you play that phrase, it just goes back into the main phrase. In context, he's going to do that twice. He's going to play main phrase to the A7, okay, back to the main phrase 3 times. When he plays this main phrase, he almost always plays it in groupings of 3. And then he goes back to this A7 phrase that we just played exactly the same, with all the little variations with that 6/4 measure and everything too. Back to the main phrase, and then the next time he does this. So this is the last kind of call and response part. He starts again with this. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so notice the 2 measures there that have 6/4 in it. So he's singing, so you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to main phrase. He's going to repeat that whole thing a couple times throughout the song, but he's also going to add this next thing, the solo. Let's listen to him play it real quick because the timing of everything is not standard. He's adding a couple of beats or 1 beat here, and sometimes he takes a beat away. It's based on, the lyrics and what he's hearing in his head. So it's a little bit tricky, but let's listen to him play it, and then I'll play it slowly with the tabs on the screen. So let's check it out first. Notice the drummer's really listening to his phrasing so he can catch back up. That's it, that's the solo. So after that, he goes back into the main parts again. So the interesting thing about the solo is although it kind of has some weird timing and stuff, he tends to play it pretty much exactly the same way every single time. So he has this melody in his head. Let's go over those notes now. So the solo part has 3 different kind of sections where he plays a part of the solo, almost like the verse. He's replaced the solo with what he sings. So he plays the solo a little bit and then he goes back to the main phrase. That happens 3 times. So he has the first phrase. Let's go over them phrase by phrase. I think that's the best way to approach it. So the first one sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now notice at the end of that phrase, it kind of seems like it gets chopped off, right? And that's because it has one measure of 5, 4. So the first 3 measures go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the measure of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then straight into the phrase. So it ends when he slides down there. That kind of almost represents that low E as we're starting the phrase. So he plays that first phrase, then he goes back into the main phrase. Then he plays the second phrase, which is actually identical. One more time, we'll hear it. 3 measures of 4, 4, 1 measure of 5, 4, then into the main riff. So it sounds like this. 3, 4. Vibrato. So then it goes into the third phrase. This one's the only one that's different. This one sounds like this. And then back to that main phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1. Notice that last measure has 3 beats in it. So this is the solo that happens at the end of the song. He's going to play the main phrase 6 times in a row before he does this last ending tag, which sounds like this. And he plays this very freely. Okay, so he plays this. I've heard him play that in a bunch of songs. That's kind of like his ending tag that he likes to play. He varies the timing on that a lot. He plays it very slowly and just to indicate to the audience that the song is over. And that's gonna do it. These are all the parts. So to put all this stuff together, I recommend, listen to the song, try to memorize his lyrics, because that's the best way to understand the timing, is that he's always singing the lyrics over that A7 phrase. 5, 6, 1. And then back into that main phrase.